Caesar snack sandwich. Today I have a quick video for you on Bunny. Now, I don't think it's going to be super quick again. I don't have a flowchart for you today. I'm going to be using the front end to do most of my explaining, but as always, I would suggest you to join Bunny, go to their link tree, go to their Discord, ask more questions, and of course, try to read the docs. Now, the docs aren't super friendly. There's a lot of math inside them. There's a lot of explanation via like formulas and stuff like that. So it's not really accessible for most people, but I have read through it all, of course, and tried to understand things and stuff like that. But let's just go to these key features here and talk a little bit about what's happening. What are some of the improvements with Bunny v2? Now, Bunny originally was like a way to incentivize people to use Uniswap version 3, but with Bunny v2, there's quite a few modifications and upgrades and changes to the system to make it better for LPs and other possible uses. Now let's kind of go through this list here of key features, and then I'm going to swing over to the front end and kind of show you like some of these things in action. Okay, so the first thing we have here is liquidity dense functions. Now this is basically new kinds of math, a new formula in math to kind of make like your liquidity distribution better, allow you to change it. And then also when it says here swaps with constant gas costs. So when swaps go through different ticks, it doesn't cost as much as it does on Uniswap version 3. So every time a swap goes, like, so larger swaps that's going to like send the price through many different ticks requires that all those ticks be open and closed on Uniswap version 3. And in this case, the formula kind of handles it much better. Okay, that's my small brain understanding of that. Okay, shape shifting. So it says allows LPs to create complex shapes. Now you'll see a lot of these shapes. I'll show you a lot of the preset shapes that are inside the UI when we go through it, and you'll kind of understand this better. Okay, autonomous rebalancing. So this is quite important. Uniswap version 3, because it's concentrated liquidity, when price leaves that range, then it needs to be rebalanced. So there's been this prop up of all of these like automatic rebalancing protocols for users, and such as Gamma, EG, all of these other protocols. Now, what Bunny is going to do is it's like natively incorporated this into the system itself. Okay, this surge fee is basically the fee for the swaps increases drastically when a rebalancing happens or when any kind of autonomous liquidity, like kind of rebalancing or the shape changing or any kind of thing like that, or unrehypothecation. Anytime there's some sort of major change to the liquidity profile, the fee drastically increases, and then it's a Dutch auction in the sense that the fees slowly decrease back down to normal. And the point of this is to stop MEV sandwich attacks on that pool, because like bots can like cause that rebalance to happen and make a swap before the rebalance and then a swap after the rebalance and extract some of that value, right? Rehypothecation is the most interesting part of this. And what that is it allows you to, the assets inside the pool, some portion of those assets will be sent to other protocols in order to gain yield, like think Yearn or Gearbox or, Aave and this kind of stuff where, assets that are, so your entirety of your liquidity is not sitting in the liquidity pool waiting. It's some of it sent to these other protocols to earn yield, and then when needed and when rebalanced, it can be pulled out and sent back and so forth. Like now it says AMM, recapture MEV and optimize fees using auction-related mechanism. Now, I think I understand this, but so you'll have to fact check me on what I'm going to say right now. But basically, you can delegate the fee management to another party, and they will, you know, so they will use those. You've delegated those fees to them, and they will take the fees. So they will manage the fee structure of your protocol of your liquidity pool, but they will capture MAV and give it back to the LPs. Now this is kind of how I understand it. So I could be a little bit wrong, but let's move on. Okay, liquidity, volatility-based swap fees. This is not a new thing, but it's good to see that they've added it, and that's basically as volatility increases, as price is moving very quickly, then the swap fee increases can increase or decrease respectively on that volatility based. So you get as the swaps getting as volatility is increasing, prices moving quite drastically, it's causing rebalances, so your fees can increase in order to capture more of that volatility. And then auto compounding is just basically, Uniswap v3 having the fees sent to another contract waiting to be claimed. That's silly. It should auto compound inside the pool. Now I'm not sure if this is going to be like some sort of click thing where it's still sent outside, and then you need to click something and it'll auto compound it, or maybe a keeper can click for you, but some execution, or if the fees are just automatically added to the pool as it does in some protocols. Okay. Now let's swing over to the front end and kind of talk about what's going on there. So here we have the front end. Now, before I actually show you anything, I will mention that they have these quests constantly. And as you can see, I've used quite a bit of them. I'm going to do these two probably today, and going to try to achieve them all. Now, you won't be able to do all of the quests I've done because, as you can see, there are dates on them and some are expired. But I would suggest you to just give them a try and see how it works. So I'm going to go over here to pools, and I'm going to create a new pool. I'm going to go advanced mode because easy mode is, you don't need it right now for this case. And I'm going to use WETH and USDC as my pool. So lots of features here, lots of things you can do. I can name this pool. I can say, I can call it DGen WETH / USDC, and then the pool symbol DGen dash WETH dash USDC, right? And then initial price, I'm going to switch this to WETH because it's a little bit easier too. So USDC per WETH, so the current price is roughly 2340. And then tick spacing. Now it does say in here that lower tick spacing for stable swap pools, higher tick spacing for volatile pools. Now this is not an extremely volatile pool, so I'm just going to kind of use the midpoint here. And then there are some other key features, like you can change the owner of the pool. So you use one wallet to create it, but another wallet will be the owner of that. So it's kind of like deposit 4, and you can describe it and use the TWAP Oracle timing percent interval. Now let's move on. So the first thing here we talk about is the fees. So I can use a static fee. I can use a dynamic fee. So a dynamic fee is like what I mentioned already, where like as volatility increases, I can change my fees. So I can have a minimum swap fee. So let's say I want my minimum swap fee to be 0.3 and my maximum swap fee to be 1. And then as volatility comes, the fees increasing. So as the price is moving out of that first tick into these other ticks, or partial ticks, the price is increasing. I can change the slope of this quite drastically. As you can see, I can make it so it doesn't change very drastically or quite drastically. And I'm not sure if there's a maximum here, but yeah, like I can even go up to this 10th. So it can change quite rapidly or quite slowly. I think even 0.1. Yeah, so you can change this the slopes of this dynamic fee, and then the TWAP, how frequently it's going to change. If 5 minutes, or like how this is like a measurement of the volatility, like how far back do you want to like kind of monitor the price in order to be like, oh, it's changed, the volatility is increasing, so I need to increase those prices or increase that fee. Moving on. So there are this is where it's like the shape of these liquidity are quite uh, quite there's a lot of choices here. So there's these are like automatic rebalances or static. So I'm going to go through the static first. Okay, so I'm going to choose the static, and then I'm going to go to edit. So there, oh no, static, and then the shape of the liquidity can be like uniform static, which is just basically straight across, or I can do like this by the dip. And if I open this by the dip, you can see like there's a lot of things I can change. I can say the minimum price threshold. So this is the prices, the price spread, right? And then I can change like how much of this liquidity, if I wanted to use this by the dip system, I can change the shapes of these. So like I can, spread it out more, the length of these. There's all kinds of features you can do. This is just one of the shapes. I'm going to go back. And also I want this dynamic fee. And then instead of using static, I'm going to use this mode both and advanced. And then keep moving. And then the shape of this dynamic, where is this? Edit the shape. So instead of that, I can come back here. There are a lot of shapes to play around with. So you really want to kind of take some time and really understand these different modes and stuff like that, because there is some risk there. Okay, so a protocol who wants to provide liquidity for their token might want to use something like mode, because it is kind of, there's a little bit of buying lows, buying high, selling low here if you are using this mode both. But it allows for there to always be pretty deep liquidity at the current price, as you can see. As a anonymous liquidity community provider, you might want to use something closer to static. Now, this is definitely something you want to research and read deeply. And then also, like, if you do choose static, so I'm going to choose static in this case, and then the shape of that static, you're going to also want to consider this quite carefully. Like, do I want to put a lot of liquidity right at this price and then slowly break it down? Because then, I'm going to be selling a lot more now than I will in the future. Like this kind of stuff. You need to really look deeper into this and kind of think about what is the shape that you want to do. So I'm going to just choose this one just for the hell of it, right? Again, set your minimum price, the alpha, it's going to spread it out and so forth for you. Enable rebalancing. So as a liquidity protocol, you might want to always enable rebalancing. And as a user, you might not want to enable rebalancing. However, if you're going to use rehypothecation, they suggest you to enable rebalancing. So I will enable rebalancing. And then again, lots of settings here, rebalance threshold, how often, the slippage tolerance. Now, one of the things that I will mention about this is this rebalancing doesn't only rebalance through the pool that you have. It's going to do like a cow swap style auction to like an off-chain solvers, like intent-based solvers. So it might, some of your rebalancing swaps, because when you rebalance, you need to swap some of your tokens. Some of that rebalancing might actually go through other protocols, liquidity pools, assuming that there are other pools out there, which is very interesting and actually very good. Okay. Moving on, enable rehypothecation. There are currently a lot of options here inside this testnet, right? And they are building more. And of course, you can add any you want as long as it's an ERC 4626 standard, and you can just add those to this if you want to do so. So I'm just going to use Gearbox for this case. Now we have target ratio asset. So like this is like how much of your what percentage of your liquidity do you want to stay inside the pool doing like basically idle waiting for swaps. So as a protocol, you might want to increase this. Here's the set. The maximum is currently set to 15. So if I wanted to put maybe 50, then I could increase this to 50. And then, maybe 5% is the minimum I want to have. So there's going to be times where, maybe swaps happen, and it doesn't pull from the rehypothecation until it needs to because of these kind of settings and stuff like that. So, as a protocol, you might want to have a lot of assets in the pool. As a very volatile asset, you might want to have lots of assets sitting in the pool to decrease gas costs to swap and rebalance and stuff like this. But if if you're an anonymous person and you want to get the most out of your yield, maybe you want to decrease this down to as much as possible. Like in this case, I can set it as low as 5, right? So that means 95% of my assets are going to be sent to Gearbox, and only 5% are sitting in the pool collecting fees. So there's some math here. There's a game of like, is it worth it? Because I'm getting 2.3% on this WETH in Gearbox. Will I get more than that if the assets are sitting inside the pool, inside range, right? So moving on. So I'm going to next stat, enable liquidity. Now, as you can see, the rehypothecation can go to separate different protocols. So the first one I chose Gearbox, and maybe for my USDC, I want to send it to Aave instead. And again, different amounts, I can set a different ratio, all this kind of stuff, and then move on. And then I'm done, and I can just click this and create the pool. Now, there's a lot here. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot. This is just a primer, just a quick little introduction to this protocol. I would definitely consider looking deeper. This thing is not live on mainnet or in any chains right now. It's only on testnet. So, you can come and play with it. If you want to come and play, there are faucets here. You can come and get a whole bunch of free, like, pointless tokens to play around on testnet and have some fun with this, and then also do those quests. So I guess that's it for today. I hope this has been useful and interesting. I thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.